The letter continues like this. Now, from the partners, there are 800 kilos. For Cocina, just let him know that Don Paco's son will be gradually bringing the stuff over, and he will be delivering to you. That's how I've always handled Cocina, with Don Paco bringing in the stuff so no one would notice. How they arrived. We already know he's trustworthy. But he talks, and the snitches are lively. For that reason, one can't say how things will turn out. The pocha says it's 800 kilograms of the partiners because it was a ton. And that ton was split among 5 partners. Now I saw from that it was 200 of pocha, 200 kilograms of Yoma, 200 kilograms from Mauricio, 200 kilograms from Aldo, and 200 kilograms from Oscar. That's why he says there were 800 from those 4 partners. And then he tells the Licenciado that to Cocina to let him know that Pocha is saying that Don Paco's son, he's the one who will be bringing the kilos from Colombia to Culiacan little by little to be handed over to the Licenciado. Well, just see how he tells the Licenciado to handle Yoma. That the kilos were going to be brought by the son of Don Paco. Mr. Paco is a person obviously dedicated to the transportation of goods. But that's not the curious part. The curious part here is that neither Don Paco nor his son moved them. Rather, they were transported in another way. But Pocha didn't want his compadre Yoma to know the real way the Loskis came. In Pocha's letter, it mentions that Yoma is 100%, but he likes to talk a lot, and that the snitches are always on the lookout. And very attentive. And for that reason, supposedly the Yoma should not find out how the Loski were transported. Honestly, it seems silly to me because wouldn't it be easier if Pocha just told him, if there was so much trust, as they said they had and were compadres? Listen, compadre, things happen this way, but please, I ask you not to tell anyone. This is just so you are informed, but no. Pocha didn't want the Yoma to find out how it is. That the Pocha worked. But it says here one must be wary of the snitches around the Yoma. But obviously, we who know, how's the matter? We understand it was because everything couldn't be fully told to him, so he wouldn't go gossiping to Vicente. That's how Pocha saw it. It's like they say in my town, among gypsies, we don't read each other's palms. That's why Pocha knew very well that he had to be very careful about what Yoma's organization could listen. For you to see, as I've always told you, in this business, survival is based on lies and deceit. That's why the Pocha tells the Yoma that things are coming differently. So he doesn't find out the truth given they are very close friends, compadres, and supposedly fully trusted. People who lack experience and do not know how this business truly operates. They say in this business is when you need to be more about word, honor, and respect. And, foolishly, they say that those who do things right and are straightforward last longer. That's a fallacy. They invented because it's completely false. Because the better people do things, the more others will try to take advantage of them or mess with them. In this business, the most important rule of all is that the most cunning survives. Like in a beast business, here the one who eats the others will survive. And I'm not making that up, nor am I making the rules. It's simply because that's how this business works. People who don't know will say no. They're a form. They only resign those who steal or those who lie. That's not true, because they also resign to. Those who do not lie and those who do not steal get resigned too. Why? It's because malicious people mistake kindness for weakness. See how things have changed. Before they resigned those who were in debt. and the ones who resigned them, obviously, were the ones who owed them. And now it's the other way around. Those who are owed are the ones resigning to avoid payment. So understand, this is very good advice I'm giving you, and take it into account. And I'm not advising you to steal or be bullies, or to do things wrong. I'm just telling you the reality of this business so you don't get confused. Only the strong will last here, to survive. The one who screws the others over. Otherwise, they will be the ones to get burned. The letter. The person who is already in jail with Eduardo also has 50 .40 caliber bullets and 5 RPG-7s, the one who knows him well and has been to his house. He's a Kachimba's pilot. He knows where it is. He is named or is called Batalloso. He hurt his spine on an airplane at the beach, to his dismay. It says here that the person who is in prison over there at Eduardo also has 50 bullets. Of 40mm caliber, and also has 5 RPG rockets. The person who knows the one with the stuff is a pilot they call Batalloso, who had a crash landing on the beach with a plane. The column is dumped. The letter says, Rincon has 322 kilograms and 443 of 40 and 13 of RPG-7. Pick everything up as best you can. We can't let them steal our things. Here it says Rincon. He had 422 kilograms of blow. Also, 443 nades gray, 40mm caliber, and 13 rockets for RP Rincon was an associate from Ecuador. And Pocha tells the Licenciado to pick up whatever he can, however he can, so it wouldn't be stolen. The letter. Talk with more Fridas who recommend technicians to see who gets you collectors there. The collectors. They charge 30% or maybe a bit more. That has to be paid by the one in debt when he is tied up. He says to contact with more Fridas. Fridas is a nickname for a Colombian chef. And from there, it stuck that all cooks or people who made blow in Colombia, they were called Fridas. So, in the letter, it tells him to talk to more Colombian partners and friends to recommend collectors for collecting from the people who have the stuff that belonged to Pocha. It says that some of those in charge of collecting bills and debts in Colombia charge 30%, or maybe a little more, up to 50%. And, obviously, that percentage is paid by the debtor, and they collect it when they have him tied up. The letter. Light up the crop duster and get it flying so it doesn't go to waste. Captain Caesar knows where it is, and also Kachimba. The Pocha says to start the crop duster and fly it so the engine doesn't stick. It's certain that the ones who know the plane's location are Capi Cesar and Capi Kachimba, according to the letter. On the other hand, I wrote to my comadre from the casino, the woman that Don Pedro has, and I asked her to please entrust Mr. Pedro to talk to Ch4p0, get him to respect, and immediately talk to Don Pedro, and did it. He gave him orders. To Ch4p0, behave as he should be. Anything to do with Ch4p0, immediately talk to my comadre on my behalf, and she will solve any detail that arises. Oscar is in touch with my comadre and the twins' mother so they can connect him with you when needed. Pocha says. That did he write to his comadre, the casino woman, Don Pedro's women. The comadre the Pocha talks about is obviously a woman, a close friend of Pocha, who was in charge of some casinos of which Pocha was a partner, since he provided them with supposed protection. And that woman was Don Pedro's sentimental partner. Don Pedro's nickname was after the renowned Mexican singer and actor Pedro Vargas, since the person mentioned by El Pocha here has that same last name. who, during those years, worked for the Sinaloa state government. That's why El Pocha tells his comadre to tell Mr. Vargas to order Chuy Toño, who was in charge of all the police in Sinaloa, that he respects the organization of Pocha, that is his sons and his compadre Licenciado. And he says that's what his comadre did, and immediately told Mr. Vargas that Chuy Toño has to respect the organization of Pocha. And then he says on the letter that any incident with Commander Chuy Toño to immediately call the comadre of El Pocha, and that she will solve any detail. The letter says that lawyer Oscar, that is the Pocha's lawyer, was in touch with the comadre, and that also lawyer Oscar had communication with the twins' mom, that is, the wife of Pocha. Whenever something was needed, communication was there. Here I am going to show you the photo of Chuy Toño, and well, Don Pedro's one is everywhere, since he seeks to be elected to a public office. Again in the government. As you can see here, again, in this letter we see what I told you in a previous episode, that Commander Chuy Toño did not respect the organization of the Pocha. That's why Nini got arrested at the livestock fair. That's why there was chaos in Culiacan, messing around with Pocha's people. Obviously, that's why it was detained the boss of all in Mazatlan. I mean, Camilín, the king of Lucen. But seriously, not the people from Yoma. He always respected them, since Chuy Toño worked for Yoma. And just to be clear, because someone commented asking for an explanation of what a single command system is, so you can see that I am indeed paying attention to the comments, they put this: single commands only consider preventive police, given the functions and protocols and organic laws of the prosecutors themselves, that they are self-sufficient. From the controls, budget, and staff, it all depends on an attorney general. The same ones who only lead to that prosecutor's office and the municipal police report to them and follow orders from a municipal president. Through a commissioner and a deputy director, state police report to a secretary. And that's a single command controlling municipal, state, and even ministerial police. That's a lie. Well, I'm glad this person knows what a single command is, but you have to understand one thing. Things never go as planned. Exactly as it should be. You, friend, outlined what a single command is like. And you're right. That's how it should be, if everyone followed the guidelines and procedures as they are stipulated. The only problem is that in Sinaloa, the single command was held by the commander, Commander Chuy Toño, and he would command all the state police. He would appoint the municipal police chief also to the director of the ministerial police and to the director of the state police, and he would give orders to all the commanders of any force. Since he controlled the entire security area, perhaps on paper and by law it shouldn't be so, but they are never as they should be. If things were as they should be, the politicians, municipal, ministerial, state, the prosecutor's offices, military, or navy, if they did their job as they should, none would have to work for organized crime. And yet they do it. I'm glad you understand what a single command is. But in a state like Sinaloa, governed by the Ocran, the police and the security area were managed by Chuy Toño. And also, Chuy Toño was mostly managed by the Telcar. The letter. Continuing with the letter. Well, compadre, I wish you and your family the best. Greetings to the godchildren. And to the compadres, hope you are good. Your compadre JGL. And that for last is the goodbye for the letter. saying Licenciado. He wishes him and his family the best, says hello to his ahijados and his compadres, says goodbye, hoping he is good, his compadre JGL. Well, friends, then that was another letter that El Pocha sent. This one was very short, with very little content, but still very valuable. Well, friends, I also want to bring you a bit of some somewhat comical stories, and not very well-known stories about some of the most famous and important characters in the world of Okran, so you can get to know them a bit better. And to realize that, just like all people, they too are human beings and have gone through, like us all, funny situations. Some of them when they had no power, and others more when they were already very powerful. For example, when they put a sauce, overwhelmingly spicy but somewhat exaggerated to the animal, in a meal that it made him cry and get a stomachache. When they gave a laxative to Albino Quintero and sent him on the Periferico during Mexico City's rush hour, and he soiled himself in the car. Un troica. When Isidro Flores was seated on a bucket for an entire day. Another example is Manuelito, the famous musician, when he dressed as a woman to make Arturo Beltran laugh. When the Pocha, during the marital act, a woman exploded the pump. When Yoma almost resigns a musician over a hat. When Macho Prieto, he was exercising on the Malecon with a bazooka over his shoulder. Also was when the Licenciado's wife burned all his clothes because she was flirting around. The time Nacho Coronel had a little goat. The time Ivan Guzman peed his pants in a trouble in the Tierra Blanca neighborhood. The time someone slapped ML. Or when Alfredo, in a nightclub in Guadalajara, he mistook a woman with a trans. Also the hidden cameras that the Gordo had to record his friends in the act, or Mayito Flaco, who they say is afraid to sleep alone. All right, friends, we've reached the end of this episode. Yes, it was very short, but because the letter was short, but I will try to make the episodes a bit longer. Sorry for this time. Hope to make it up next time. Hopefully you liked it. And as you've already heard, several topics are coming up, of various characters and all kinds, about resignations, funny situations, anecdotes, stories of all kinds. Don't miss the next episode. It's going to be very interesting, just like all the others. As you know, the unique and real narrative, you'll only find it here. A hug for everyone, and see you next episode. Thank you.